Yeah. Um, Somebody find me the nearest panic button because I am smashing it to pieces right away.
You are Locked On Blue Jays, your daily Toronto Blue Jays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jays. Thank you for making Locked On Blue Jays your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, found on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. Holy, we're going to get into all that. We're going to get into the fact that this team now has dropped 2 straight games at home and are looking like they are hurting. We'll talk about the managerial decisions, but I think the biggest one is who's to blame in all this? This is just not the same team that's come out. As always, I'm Braden Iwasco. He's Carter First. You can find us on Twitter, Braden5Iwasco, Carter First 2 as well, Locked On Jays. You can also follow us Instagram and TikTok at Locked On Blue Jays. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. You guys have been killing it lately. It's been unbelievable going through this. At least we have all you guys as sounding boards, so we're not just, I'm not just sitting in our apartment yelling at Carter. At least, I'm getting your guys' feedback. We had some Mariners fans in the comment section the other day too, so that was fun for some of you, I'm assuming. There, as we saw, there was a lot of beacon going on. It's nice to see too. But you're standing up for your team. I like it. So hit that subscribe button. You get your shorts, your podcasts, your live streams, your videos. Carter, we can go through this. We can. But really, at the end of the day, this team got shelled. This was not a good performance. Once again, this team it's like they have one push, and if that push doesn't get them enough, well, too little, too late. They can't hit late in ball games against this Mariners bullpen. It just won't happen. This wasn't good. I mean, me and you were sitting on the couch watching this game, and I don't know. I don't think we said a word to each other for the last 3 innings. Do you feel that? Do you feel like just a little bit defeated?
Yeah, you're definitely going to feel defeated after those 2 games. A team that has been the best team at home in the major leagues, and then you look at what they did in the first 2 games of a home series, or of your first 2 home games of the ALCS against the Seattle Mariners. You see what they do, see the real egg that they just laid. It's not good whatsoever. You can blame a bunch of different facets for game 2, game 1, more so the offense. Game 2, you could probably blame the offense once again. You get 3 hits in the first inning. Logan Gilbert does not look very good. We talk about the advantages of having a 15-inning game played on the Friday and how that could affect some of the rest with these pitchers. Logan Gilbert looked like that he looked like he just threw pitches. It looked like he was not fully rested. And you really saw that early on in the game. Obviously, Trey Savage does not want to start the day like the way he started it. But the offense, after those first 3 hits in the first inning, you get 3 hits for the rest of the ball game. So the offense not showing up, the bullpen coming in, collapsing as well. You want probably a little bit more from Trey Savage. You can blame pretty much anyone on the Toronto Blue Jays here because now you're in a hole. You are down 2-0. You have to go to Seattle for 3 straight games, and you got to win at least 2 of them. Ideally, you win 3, but I mean, winning 2 of them already sounds like a stretch. And this is the stat that was on the broadcast. And this is why, if you would have told me that the Toronto Blue Jays were down 0-2 against Seattle, you would ask me what are the odds of them coming back before the series started. I probably wouldn't have said it was very high. And based off of history of teams in a 7-game series that have lost the first 2 games, only 3 out of 28 have come back to win that 7-game series. That is 11%. So the odds are against the Toronto Blue Jays. But luckily for us, I'll use this model one more time. I think once we get to a game 3, if they lose game 3, might be a little bit tougher to say this, but every time this team has been punched in the face, they have punched back. Now, this is if you're going to be out in the Blue Jays, this would be the time to do it. Nothing really feels like it was going well. The offense hasn't showed you anything. Your 2 best starting pitchers went, and you didn't win either of those games. You still have debatably the best starting pitchers on the Mariners that still have to go. So if you were going to be out on a team and they were going to try kind of pull you back in to prove you wrong one more time, this is going to be the time they're going to have to do it, but this is probably going to be the hardest time and the biggest hill they're going to have to climb to get out of this hole.
So, okay, there's a big narrative right now. John Schneider, right? Managerial decisions, all that. I think let's talk about that. Let's talk about some of the problems. And then I want to come back in segment 2 when this is all, we've sort of talked through this. And I want your honest take about whose fault this all is, because this is just not good. So, let's start with John Schneider. There are people that are saying he pulled Kevin Gausman too early. There are people saying that he pulled Trey Savage too early. I'm going to give my take on this, okay? And this is specifically going to these two scenarios. And I get where people are frustrated here, but I'm sort of on the fence with this. One facet is, as a starting pitcher, you want to be able to work out of trouble. You do. You don't want to that's not the moment you want to have to give the ball up. You want to be able to get out of it. And I think in both these situations, the guys maybe could have, right? They maybe could have. And so people are saying, why not let guys work out of it? And a piece of me is on that train. A piece of me is saying, yeah, let these guys figure it out, because you can't rely on this bullpen. The other part of me is sort of on the side of John here, because it's like, well, I don't pull this guy and he gets shelled. Then I'm getting grief because I didn't pull him. Then the other way, you pull the guy, you think, hey, we have a lot of bullpen options left. Let's go to them, try to let them save this game. Bullpen gets shelled. What do you want him to do here? Don't get me wrong. If I was in that situation, would have I made a different decision? Maybe. But it's easy for all of us to sit here now and say, well, I shouldn't have pulled Trey Savage today. Trey Savage could have given up a double off the wall and given up 2 more runs there. I don't know where I stand, Carter. A little bit of me feels, yes, maybe we should have left him in. But I don't know. Where are you at with all this?
It's all situational, I think, with when your manager is going to pull a starting pitcher. And I'm going to start this off by saying, being a manager of a team, I feel like it's a very thankless job. Like, if he makes the right decisions, or if there's nothing that people have to complain about, they're not going to say, oh, John Schneider had a very good game, he managed that game well. They're probably going to say, oh, Louis Barlin looked great, Brandon Little looked great. They're going to blame, or they're going to give the credit to the players. Whereas in this instance, or like, at least let's go back to the Kevin Gausman one. We didn't really talk about the Kevin Gausman yank because the team got 2 hits. It didn't matter like who was pitching. Randy Johnson could have been pitching. Doc Holliday could have been out there. It doesn't matter if your offense isn't going to score runs. So that's why we didn't really talk about it there. In this game with Trey Savage, like it's all very situational. So I think a lot of the time, like you got to use your eyes and just see how the flow of the game is going. In regards to Trey Savage, again, not the way Trey wants to start. If he gets a call, again, maybe that's all hindsight, like hypotheticals. Probably should have had that strike call against Randy Arozarena, but you're an MLB pitcher. You got to work out of it. But one thing that I saw during this game, and this is why I do not mind pulling Trey Savage out of this game when John Schneider did it, is we looked at his fastball velocity in general, just his velocity. In the first inning, this is a tweet from Arden Zwelling, but in the first inning, I noticed this as well, 94.8 miles per hour. That was the average pitch for his fastball. In the second inning was 94.3, so half a mile per hour down. In the third inning, that dropped to 93.1. That's over a mile and a half down. In the fourth inning, it's 92.8. So from that first inning to that fourth inning, his fastball dropped 2 miles per hour. And that is a very significant difference. We know that velocity matters a lot. It matters with the hitter's timing and just your ability to be over the plate a little bit more. If you just give the hitter less time to react to a pitch, it's going to be a lot harder to hit that pitch. And I'll use this in terms of Kevin Gausman as well. Again, this is from Arden Zwelling. But why velocity is important is in terms with Kevin Gausman as force team in 2025. If Kevin Gausman threw his fastball 94 miles per hour or above, he had an opponent slugging of 364 with a 17.7 whiff rate. If it was below 93, a 400 slugging percentage with a 12.6% whiff rate. So the slugging went up, the swing and miss went down, and that's what you were going to see with Trey Savage. And this guy's a rookie. This is a guy has not made a lot of starts. His second career playoff start in a very good Seattle Mariners lineup that was going to be going around the order for a third time. So if you leave Trey Savage in, who knows what could have happened? He could have got out of the inning. Again, there was a lot of signs that were telling you that the Seattle Mariners were going to see him pretty well. Julio Rodriguez had hit a 3-run home run off of Trey Savage. That matchup was not in Trey Savage's favor. So in that one specifically, I think in general, it's very situational. But are you going to let the rookie kind of just hopefully figure it out and really take the chance there? Or are you going to let one of your bullpen guys that, again, you're in a position where you have to trust them, like whether it's Louis Varland, whether it's Jeff Hoffman, they're going to have to be thrown in high leverage situations. So at some point, you're going to have to trust your bullpen. So would you rather have Trey Savage, who again, with the velocity's down, the swing and miss is down, the splitter doesn't look as good, the spin rate's not as good as we've seen with Trey Savage, or do you want to go to that fresh bullpen arm where these Mariners hitters are not comfortable with them, have not seen the fresh arm, and are becoming more comfortable with the arm slot of Trey Savage? So I think for this one, makes a lot of sense. And at the end of the day, this is where I'll end it. is that in most scenarios, as long as it's not the most obvious thing of all time with the Jose Barrios thing that we talked about a couple of years ago, in most scenarios, it's not really based on what the manager does. Like, the manager isn't really going to decide the game. It's going to be what the players go out there and do. Is Louis Varland going to be hitting his spots? Is Brendan Little going to throw strikes? Is Jeff Hoffman going to be over the middle of the plate? Is Trey Savage going to be able to get ahead in advantage counts? It's at some point, you can't blame the manager for everything, and you have to blame the players.
Yeah. I mean, again, we're going to have to talk a lot more about this and not just the managerial decisions, because, at the end of the day, people want to know who to blame, right? Who's at fault here? That's the biggest question.
Yeah, I guess so. Who's at fault? It's not John Schneider in my books.
There you go. So we're going to keep going. We're going to go down the list. We're going to talk about the problems, because it'd be a lot easier if they won this game. I feel like, we'd be all pumped up and excited and whatever else. But when two games like this happen, you got to talk through it and see what the problem areas are. And one of those is going to remind a lot of people about August. That's it. You're gonna hear a lot about August talk from me here. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll talk all that, and maybe we'll find somebody to blame. We'll be right back.
Today's episode is sponsored by Monarch Money. Most people can't even name all of their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether they're 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's where Monarch Money comes in. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that leads your entire financial life together, all in one, clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or on your phone. Whether it's budgeting, whether you're trying to invest in stocks, whether you're just trying to save money because you're splurging in different areas of your life. For some people, it's fast food. For some people, it's clothes. For Braden, it's his hats and his addiction to buying every single new Jays hat that comes out. So whatever it is in your life, Monarch Money can definitely help you get to that financial freedom as quickly as possible. So don't let that financial opportunity slip through the cracks. You can use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That is 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB.
So, Carter, one thing I wanted to get into, and the bullpen reminds me of August. And I hate to say that, but it's so many middle pitches, hanging, breaking balls, backed up sliders, whatever it is. It's down the center. Here, take a swing at it. And that's what's killed this team. Giving up the long balls, giving up the walks, middle pitches. Now, am I saying that they're all to blame? Well, I guess we'll talk through it. But to me, this bullpen just has to be better. You pull your starter and you go to somebody, and in that situation, you're hoping that, hey, these guys can be good. Can they be good today? Well, I guess not. And that's the tough part. I mean, you can go down the list today, Carter. I don't think one guy had their best day pitching. I mean, even Yariel gives up a run. Chris Bassett and Eric Lauer, where their stat lines are good, but the game is out of reach. It's 10-3. I mean, those guys were up there just saying, hey, let's get this game done. Let's go take a nap on the plane ride back. They were already thinking about game 3, where the Jays are trying to scratch and claw their way in the 9th inning. Well, that just doesn't work. So this bullpen, the guys you need to be good just aren't good right now. And yeah, I hate to say it, this game just brought me back to August, when there was a whole bunch of complaining around the bullpen for good reason, because it just wasn't good.
Yeah, you brought up middle pitches, which was definitely a theme of this game, because you look at Trey Savage and the splitter that he gave up to Julio Rodriguez. That's a splitter that really doesn't move whatsoever. It's almost like a high school changeup. Like, this is like a batting practice pitch. One of the worst pitches I think we've seen from Trey Savage at the MLB level. Unfortunately, it comes in the biggest start of his career in a very bad spot, just a hanger to Rodriguez. He obviously sends that out to the left field. Then you got the Jorge Polanco, again, that home run, the big turning point in the game. It's a Louis Varland fastball right down the middle, pretty much catching the center of the plate, and he makes you pay. Jorge Polanco has been very clutch, honestly, in this entire playoffs so far. And then the Josh Naylor one, it's a slider from Braden Fisher, and you guessed it, it's right down the middle once again. But saying that, you look at Logan Gilbert, you look at Hancock, you look at Bizardo, you look at some of these Seattle relievers, it's not like they were unbelievable and they're untouchable in this game. There's a lot of pitches offensively that they could have taken advantage of. Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Addison Barger, a couple swings, Dalton Varsho, players throughout this lineup that had pitches that they could have did damage on, they were just missing. So what we saw is the Seattle Mariners taking advantage of those mistake pitches that are going to happen no matter if it's Trey Savage, if it's Logan Gilbert, if it's Tyreek Skubal. There's going to be mistake pitches throughout a baseball game. And it's just which team can do a better job at taking advantage of that. The Seattle Mariners clearly did a better job of that. But again, when you backtrack, you don't want Louis Varland throwing the ball down the middle. It looked like the command was a little bit off today the entire time. Braden Fisher didn't look like he had his best stuff either. So yeah, if you're looking for somebody to blame, that's going to be kind of the theme of this episode. It has to be the players, obviously. For me, it's still the offense if you're going to blame like one facet, but like every sort of facet has to be better. Trey Savage would probably tell you he has to be better. The bullpen has to be better. And you got to have more than 3 innings after the first inning if you want to win a baseball game. 3 runs isn't going to do it against how good of an offense the Seattle Mariners do have.
Yeah, it's tough because, you know, everybody wants to point a finger. I mean, we were getting text messages in a group chat with all our buddies, and guys are losing it. And this is another thing I want to bring up. The umpiring today was not good. People were complaining about it being like, oh, well, the Jays got screwed here. Well, the Mariners got screwed as well. This was a bad umped game across the board for both teams. The umping was horrendous. But I don't look at this and say the Jays specifically got screwed here. This was just a bad umped game, both sides of the ball. Both teams got shafted. So I can't even blame the umps. And anybody that's looking to, I'm sorry. There are much bigger things at play here. The pitching wasn't good. The at-bats weren't good. The Blue Jays, the amount of middle pitches that they missed today, honestly, the last 2 days disgust me. To me, it's 0-1 count, 1-0 count, 0-0 count, whatever it is, and you're getting a middle pitch after you are getting pieced up and you're not taking a cut at it. Like, what are we doing here? Get after the ball. Look like you want to hit. Why are we hoping and praying for walks? Swing the bat. Get after it. Try to make something happen. But instead, the game planning going up to the plate is just not there. That may have worked against the Yankees where they are going to walk players. They are going to give you bases. You can't do that against the Mariners team. You have to go up there wanting to do damage every bat. And this team just didn't want to. And this stems from Vlad. I mean, he's been horrible this series. And a guy that we praised over and over and over again in the Yankees series, it's like that was his end game. His end game was just to beat the Yankees. And then whatever happens after that happens. That seems like this whole team. Guys have disappeared. Dalton Varsho, Alejandro Kirk, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I mean, Santander was out with back tightness today. So you lose him, who's actually been very good at the plate.
I think that might be an overstatement. I think that it's more so he's just been one of your better hitters, which isn't necessarily a good thing, but he's been one of your better guys that have had more competitive at-bats than some of the other players on this team. Yeah,
Addison Barger. I mean, go down the list. Nobody is doing it right now, and it's like, I don't know. Did you waste all of your effort in the Yankees series, and you just thought, well, we're going to cruise through the Mariners? This is Major League Baseball. The playoffs. The ALCS. You can't go into a game just because you beat the Yankees. You can't have the feeling that you're going to beat everybody. The Mariners and the Yankees play two very different styles of baseball. The Yankees hit a lot of home runs. They're going to kill you offensively. The Mariners have a really good pitching staff. Are going to play a little small ball, base to base. Yeah, maybe get that big hit that drives in a few. They're going to have runners on. You can't go into this thinking that you're the Yankee, that they're the Yankees. I don't know, dude. I don't want to sit here and just be, screaming at my monitor at all either. But it's frustrating, right? You watch this team and you pray for this team to do well all season long for 162. They get to the biggest moment of the season, and it's like, guys, I don't know, dude. The heart and everything that we've been seeing all year from this team of like hard running it out, right? Making things happen. If you have to lay down a bunt, lay down a bunt. Do whatever you need to do. Nathan Lucas is the only guy we really saw that from, right? That ball goes by. He busts ass to second base. George Springer, I'll give him that too. He's been pretty good this series. Everybody else, I don't know. Even Dalton Varsho, Andres Gimenez, Dalton Varsho missed a ball that again, not the easiest play, but a play we see Dalton Varsho make. Andres Gimenez chucks that ball to nowhere. I think he was just aiming for Eugenio Suarez's head in the dugout.
Wrong guy. Maybe a game for Cal if you're going to do something like that.
Yeah, and it's like, come on, boys. Play your baseball here. Care a little bit. And I know they do, and I know that's a dumb thing to say. But God, it doesn't look like it.
See, there's really two things. One of them is Seattle's just a more complete team than the New York Yankees are. Like they still have the ability to hit home runs. Like the New York Yankees hit 274 home runs. The Mariners hit 238. That's still third in baseball. This team still has the ability to hit the home run ball, and you see that with Randy Rosarena. Obviously, they got Cal Raleigh right in the middle of that lineup. Josh Naylor, Eugenio Suarez, like. You got guys throughout that lineup that can definitely hit the long ball, but you also got Josh Naylor stealing 1,000,000 bases when he's not even fast, which doesn't make any sense. Randy Rosarena stealing bases, Julio Rodriguez stealing bases. Then you got, again, they have the ability to play that hit and run style of baseball if they do want to. Not really their prototypical style necessarily, but they will bunt guys over. They will advance runners. And then we talk about the pitching staff a ton, obviously, and how good that they have been. But one of the big things of this series, you talked about Vladimir Guerrero Jr., you just talked about the Blue Jays offense extensively. I just wanted to see what the 3, 4, 5 hitters for the Blue Jays did compared to the Seattle Mariners. And I didn't even go to the first game for the Mariners because I looked at this and it just pissed me off. So I only did the second one. But the Mariners, 3, 4, 5 hitters went 6 for 13 in game 2 with 3 home runs and 8 RBIs. The Toronto Blue Jays, 3, 4, 5 hitters throughout the first 2 games. That's Vladdy, Addison Barger, and Alejandro Kirk. They are 1 for 20, with 4 walks, 1 strikeout, 1 RBI. It's just not going to get it done. Like you talk about Vladimir Guerrero Jr. having the moment. He comes in, has an opportunity with runners on first and third, with 2 outs, and you don't really get anything. You haven't gotten that big moment from Vladimir Guerrero Jr. in this series whatsoever. When you look at it offensively, I have one stat here that I've been waiting to put up on throughout in this podcast, but you have to do it. The Toronto Blue Jays have 1 hit from the 3rd inning on in this entire series. After the first 2 innings, they have 1 hit. That's unacceptable. That is horrible. It's pathetic. Like there's so many different words you can use for that. It's just not acceptable. It's not going to play over a long-term stretch. And this is a team that has been unbelievable at home. And now you got to go to Seattle where you haven't really played that good of baseball in totality and in the last few seasons. And you got multiple players on that Mariners roster that have been known to be Jays killers, specifically Cal Raleigh, who has found himself really in the middle, at least in the first game of the series, in the middle of the offense. The Mariners scored 10 runs. You didn't really see anything from Cal Raleigh in the second game. So it's definitely an uphill battle, but it all starts with the Toronto Blue Jays. You can worry about everything you want with the Mariners. George Kirby, Luis Castillo, their bullpen guys, Andres Munoz. You can worry about whatever you want. But if you have these Blue Jays hitters going 1 for 23, 4, 5, getting 1 hit throughout from the 3rd inning on, you're just never going to win. You're not going to beat the Chicago White Sox if you're hitting like that. It doesn't matter who you're playing. You got to give some credit to Seattle Mariners, but the Blue Jays just simply have to be better in all facets of baseball.
Yeah, and you know what? We had a couple friends ask us, do you tip your hat to the pitching? No. You're in the playoffs. Every pitcher you face is going to be good and looking to beat you. You can't tip your hat. Yeah, you could say that they were good, but you expect this team to do some damage. Carter, I mean, pretty much it's where do we go now, right? What happens next? Because this team has to win, and you have to take 2 or 3. We're going to talk more about that. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll chat all that right on the other side. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. You guys know how much I love FanDuel. I love betting on sports. I have not been good at it lately, trust me. The NFL season's here, baseball, playoffs, hockey now as well. FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I say it all the time. You know, there was, I think, a $150 bonus bet one. There was the $200 one. This is the biggest one I've seen. So take advantage. Go win a first $5 bet. Place it on something that, is a lock, right? I guess it's if the Mariners play the Blue Jays, apparently in the ALCS. Just bet Mariners. It's frustrating. Don't do that. Don't take my betting advice. Bet what you want, but bet on something smart so you make sure you get your $300 in bonus bets. It's free money. Might as well. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. All right, dude. I mean, yeah, this is where the conversation is now. It's what can this team do now to be successful? How much faith do you have in Shane Bieber? And not just in Shane Bieber, but how much faith do you have in this ball club to win 2 of 3 in Seattle?
Not the most excited for it, but at this point throughout the year, I'm not going to bow out on my favorite baseball team with all that they've overcome at this point in the year. It's not easy. You look at the pitching matchup, it's George Kirby, it's Luis Castillo. You're going to have Shane Bieber. Max Scherzer. Like it's almost a must-win game with Max Scherzer on the mound. Like that's not something that I'm necessarily excited for on paper. Can it go the right way? Absolutely. Like Max Scherzer, if there's going to be a veteran that you want in that situation that maybe can persevere, it might be Max Scherzer. I hope it's Max Scherzer because that's all we got. It's going to have to be Max Scherzer. So yeah, not the most confident of all time. Like I definitely would not have wanted it to go this way. But I said game 2 was a must win. We'll go into this farther on tomorrow's episode. But game 3 is absolutely a must win. You're not winning 4 in a row against the Seattle Mariners team with that pitching staff, with that offense. It's just absolutely impossible. Maybe this is what the Yankees felt like a little bit, but we have an extra game, I guess. We have to lose 4 games instead of 3. So it's not as like completely over, but it's just everything needs to change. Like if you play the way you're going to play throughout these 2 games, pack it up now. Like there's really no point of even going to Seattle. But if you want to return to the way you were playing against the New York Yankees, the way you were playing pretty much this entire season, having those gritty at-bats, fouling off pitches, making pitchers come to you in the strike zone, having good quality swings. We saw a lot of soft contact, specifically in that second game, especially later on in the innings when the Mariners bullpen arms were coming in. You just got to have a better approach. So that's one thing I kind of want to ask you is just overall what your confidence is going to Seattle and what needs to change. If it's offensively, if that's your issue, which clearly for me, the offense is the issue. What do they got to change? Is it an approach? Do they have to rely on specific pitches? Do they sit off speed? What is the specific thing do they need to do? Or is it even one thing? Or is it just they need to be better in totality?
I mean, confidence wise, it's not high. It can't be. You're down 2-0 going away. It's not a good feeling to have. You lost 2 games at home. That's not good. Is it just be better? That's a great question. That'd be the easy answer, wouldn't it?
I wish it was that easy. Yeah, let's just do better this time. Well,
come on, guys, try a little harder. No, you know what? I could sit here again. I'm not some pro baseball coach that used to play in the league, nothing like that, right? But it goes back to what me and you talked about a couple months ago, maybe. And it's in the confidence, it's in the belief, it's in the plan at the plate. You have to go up there and believe that you're better than every single pitcher that you face. If you're a pitcher, you have to go up there and believe that nobody can touch you. That is the mentality that when I coached ball or played ball is immediately what I would tell everybody. You have to convince yourself that you are the best player on the field. And when you go to that plate, it shouldn't be, hey, I'm going to wait for a 2-strike count to start swinging the bat. No, look for something dead cut, center setter. And if it's the first pitch of the at-bat, take a hack. Get your ace swing. Use that ace swing. You can't be using your ace swing when you're down already 2 strikes against you. And that's what we've seen a lot of the time is you get down 2 strikes, whatever the count may be, and that's when guys are just having to battle up there, and you're not going to get an ace swing off. So utilize an ace swing. I feel like this is fundamental baseball stuff here. But that's the problem I've seen. You can't sit there 4 at-bats in a row and watch the first strike be dead cut center, and for the fans not to see that on the screen and be like, well, come on. I get the whole fact of guys wanting to see a pitch, right? There's some guys that don't like swing. I don't care. You're Major League Baseball players. You see a pitch center cut, you may get one pitch like that, an at-bat, maybe. You got to take advantage, and that has to be your ace swing, and it can't be in 2 strike counts. So if you want my answer on what the problem is for the hitting, that's it right there. It seems like there is no plan at the plate until they're in a 2-strike count, and then it's like, oh, okay, time to battle, shorten the swing, do my job. But before that, it's like no game plan. So they got to figure it out. And they were doing that in the Yankee series. There was guys getting on first pitches. You see George Springer, first pitch of the first game of this series. Bang, gone. He saw the fastball that he wanted. Boom. Got his ace swing off. Again, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I don't know if it's one specific thing. One thing that I've seen throughout, with these pitchers, with the Mariners starting pitching staff, is that they really rely on the slider. Whether it's George Kirby, whether it's Logan Gilbert, Luis Castillo throws a slider as well. They really want to use that as their strikeout pitch. And it seems like the Blue Jays in their approach have kind of been waiting for that slider. And whether it was Bryce Miller, whether it was Logan Gilbert, especially early on the count, they were throwing that fastball. Bryce Miller, a lot of high inside. Logan Gilbert, really just kind of all over the place, really spreading that fastball around the zone. But they were getting behind very often. I talk about advantage counts all the time and how significant and important that is for starting pitchers, especially in a playoff game. So I think maybe being a little bit more aggressive, specifically on the fastball early on in counts, might be a little bit more beneficial, especially with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I swear to God that they throw a fastball down the middle to him every single time, the first pitch. And then he takes a step back and he has his little head nod. And I'm okay with doing that if you're going to hit, a double down the line or, smack a single even up the middle at this point. But if you're going to go over there and then you'll foul off 3 more pitches and then have a lazy ground ball to the shortstop, it's just not going to work. So I think maybe there is a little bit more of an approach change. Maybe you focus on the fastball a little bit more. Again, a lot easier said than done. But I think what they need to do is maybe be a little bit more transformable throughout the game and really if you have a game plan, say the first 2 innings, and then you notice that they're not doing exactly what you thought on the game plan. Like, for example, Logan Gilbert, he was hanging the slider every single time later on in at-bats. It didn't really look like the Blue Jays made an adjustment. You see that Logan Gilbert's not on. George Kirby, Luis Castillo, as we get into games 3 and 4, you can tell, hey, they don't have their breaking pitches, or maybe they're not locating their fastball. Use that to your advantage. Maybe sit on that fastball in a specific part of the zone, whether it's up in the zone, outside, inside, wherever it may be. If you realize, hey, he's not being effective with that pitch, either sit on the off-speed pitch, or if he's only effective with one pitch, which is usually the fastball with the Mariners staff so far, just sit on the fastball. Again, it's easier said than done, obviously. Maybe it's not. It's obviously not that simple, but something needs to change, and a lot of it has to do with the offense. But then, again, you look at the bullpen. I'm going to kind of get out the negative stats, I think, today, because I'm going to try, spin zone tomorrow into being a little bit better and what the Toronto Blue Jays can do to hopefully, get this series kind of back in action, at least give themselves a chance to compete with the Seattle Mariners. But you look at the bullpen as well. The Blue Jays relievers have given up 20 earned runs through 28.1 postseason innings. Again, it's simply not going to be good enough. That's not going to get it done. And is it just simple as don't throw the ball down the middle? Maybe, but that's, again, a lot easier said than done. So we just need the Toronto Blue Jays to take these 2 games, kind of throw them out the window and go back to what they were doing throughout the Yankee series, the end of the season, honestly, throughout this entire season.
Yeah, you know what, Carter? We're going to have to, really try to spin zone this some way tomorrow. That's sort of what I'm looking at, right? Let's take a breath. Let's take a step back, okay? Clear the head for the evening, the rest of the day. Take a break. Come back, talk this podcast out a little bit. What are things that can be better? What can they do here? Where can they use guys in better situations to have more success? Is there going to be lineup adjustments?
Because that was the last thing I wanted to ask you, is that people with the offense are saying we're not necessarily sure what it is. Some people have fired off the notion of maybe switch up the order. Is that something that you would want to do going into a game 3? That's all I'm this on off, I think.
This is, you know what? I'm going to leave it for tomorrow because you know what? I honestly, I want to look at it and think about it. And yes, I'll give you a just general answer. Yes. There are spots that I would like to switch personally. I think we'll dive into that a little bit more tomorrow because I think that's got to be a big topic of conversation here because something has to change and you can't just change things up to change things up. There has to be a reason for the changes being made. So I think that's what we'll do. We'll leave it here with you guys today. We'll come back tomorrow. We got a lot more to talk about. We got no game. So we got some time to really think through everything. And as fans, we can sit here and me and you can toss around ideas all the time. Doesn't mean they'll use them. But maybe we'll be on to something. I think that's what we have to plan for. So Carter, anything before we kick out of here for the evening?
Yeah, maybe next time we just got to say, hey, next time, Vladdy should just pick up the bat and hit the ball. Maybe that would help a little bit more. Maybe make some contact. Maybe hit the ball harder. I don't know. It seems like maybe it sounds redundant. We're just, making the most obvious claims of all time. But sometimes it's just a little fix. And sometimes it's just nothing. It's just the day of baseball. And sometimes it just doesn't go your way. I don't know if that can happen, for 3 games in a row, 4 games in a row. It happened 2 games in a row. Let's hopefully end it at that and move on to something better. Be mad, be negative. I'm not very happy right now. Obviously, we watched 2 games that were not very competitive. But again, if we're fans of a baseball team, the Toronto Blue Jays are in the ALCS. There's no point of just preying on their downfall at this point. We got to spin zone this. We got to turn it around and hope for better things in the future. I want to say thank you guys for watching. We will be back with you guys tomorrow.